Who wants to follow that? Goodness. Everybody good? Yeah, it don't get weaker, it just gets stronger. Yeah. Richard, you got a starting place tonight? Huh? Covenants? Covenants? Oh man. Yeah. Covenants? Alright. I can do covenants. Yeah. I can do covenants. One of the most life-changing things I ever learned was covenants. So I told them guys earlier about this. You know, we've been getting ready and everything's big excitement, right? Everything's going for Dan Moeller weekend. Everybody's hoo-yah and everybody's excited. Everybody's got people coming. It's a big deal, right? We're getting more chairs to put in here, fix the ceiling. They did all kinds of stuff in here. It's like all excitement, right? All this is going on, right? About 30 minutes ago, I remembered I was supposed to preach tonight. Well, you guys know me, you know how much notice I need anyway, but I say covenants. I would say that the most life-changing thing I ever learned was knowing the difference between covenants. Because growing up in church and being religious, you know, they said you were a sinner and I got to believe in Jesus and I can go to heaven one day, and now you need to keep coming to church and work on your behavior and learn how to act and try to clean yourself up, right? You need to do this better, and you need to, you know, quit hanging out with them and start hanging out with them, and you need to start acting like you're supposed to be acting, right? And so you fall into that trap, and you either get real dedicated to it and try harder, and get rededicated to it and try even harder, and get rededicated to it and try even harder, or you just get too honest and say, I can't do this, and you run the other way. So you either get revelation of more, you either get revelation of that there's more than this, or you stay there and pretend, or you run. Only three options. And so I say, I got tired of that, and I said, if this is what it's about, if I got saved and I'm going to go to heaven one day, and then I just got to learn how to be the best church member I can be until Jesus comes, or this devil decides to take me out or something, then there's got to be more to it than this. And so I said, I'm tired of this. I want some more than this. If this is what it is. I actually said this to God. You know I believe in you. You know I know you're real. But if this is what it is, I'm out. If this is what it is, I'm done. There's got to be more than what just being a church member. It's got to be more than that, right? So it's like the minute that my heart came to that place, it was like the sky opened up and he said, well then, congratulations. Now that you give up on what you think you can do, now I can show you something, hammerhead. Right? I don't know if he said that or not, but that's probably me saying that part of it. But you know, so now all of a sudden I can start learning something. Because it's not about me or what we do. It's not about who you are. It's about who He is and what He's done. See? And so here's what I had to learn. Yeah, because church had taught me this. We've said, now you get saved, that's by grace. But now, you know, it's a free gift, right? Anybody have this? It's a free gift. Anybody come forward. Get on that piano. I surrender all, right? It's free. Come get saved and all this, that, right? And before you get back to your seat, here's your list of stuff that you've got to do and not do, and you need to sign up for this, and 3 committees, and, you know, we want all your money, and all this, right? So I think, you know, gosh, and so we didn't learn anything. We didn't learn anything until I figured out that there's a new covenant and an old covenant. And so we didn't know the difference, and we just mixed the two. And so because we mixed the two, we nullified both. The old covenant was given by Moses. And the old covenant given by Moses to the people of Israel said this: if you do and don't do, Right? Thou shalt not, thou shalt. Thou shalt not, thou shalt. If you uphold your end of the bargain, then I'll do my part. That's it in a nutshell. That's Jason's version. The 10 Commandments. But there's not just 10. There's really like 613 some of them. All these laws, the Jewish law. Right? So God said, if you do your part and you uphold all of this, then I'll do my part. That was not God's original plan. That was not really God's idea. But they, in their arrogance, said, Moses, you tell God. You tell God that you tell Him to tell us what to do, and we'll do it. Right? Now I can think, and I'm just paraphrasing, this is my own idea in my own head. I'm saying, God's saying, well, that's not the best deal, but okay, I'm going to have to let you have that just to prove to you how far you are from being able to perform, and to how far you are from being able to do it, right? And so He gave them the law. You know that the day the law was given, the ground opened up and 3,000 people died? That day. The day the law was given, 3,000 people died. Now before that, here they were, if you know the story, God told Moses, go down to Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go, right? We've at least seen the movie. Tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And so here they were. Some say 2 to 5 million people, Hebrew children. They're slaves in Egypt. Been slaves for 400 years. And so Moses goes down there and tells Pharaoh, let my people go. And Pharaoh don't want to. And so plagues and all this stuff. Finally, he tells them to get out of here. Right? Get out of here. And so they leave out. Now they're slaves. Slaves have no idea who they really are. Their identity is more messed up than nowadays by far. Have no idea who they are. They get out there in the wilderness. In Psalms it says that silver and gold was piled on them. Said not one of them was feeble. I mean, He healed them. He blessed them. He delivered them. And it was like an 11-day journey to walk to the promised land. And it took them 40 years. And so they're out here in the wilderness, right? And they're grumbling and complaining and don't have this and don't have that. They're whining and grumbling and, I mean, just carrying on. And what happened? They said, we don't have no fresh water. Moses, go tell them we don't have no fresh water, right? Boom, God gives them water. And then we're hungry. Boom, God gives them manna. Oh, we're tired of manna. Boom, God gives them quail, right? What's happening? Even amongst their poor, pitiful, sorry, woe is me attitudes, even in the middle of their complaining and ungratefulness, even in all their identity crisis, God bless them. God bless them. God bless them. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo, this. God bless them. God bless them. What's happening? Before the law's given, they're not being blessed according to their performance. They're still under the Abraham covenant of their being blessed according to the goodness of God. And then they said, we don't want you to no longer bless us according to how good you are. We want you to start blessing us according to how good we are. I mean, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard, right? That's dumber than Adam eating from the tree, really. And so here that God's like, well, okay, but here, I'm going to give it to you because I'm going to have to show you that you can't do it. So He gives it to them. That day, 3,000 people die. Old covenant. You do and don't do, and if you uphold your end of the bargain, then I'll hold up my end of the bargain. Sound familiar? I'm afraid so. Then Jesus shows up. Jesus shows up, lives life born under the law. Born under the law. The law is the old covenant, right? He said, I didn't come to abolish the law. I've come to fulfill the law. Right? So then, the Passover and all this stuff, the communion we've talked about all the time. He said, this is my blood, the new covenant. See, what is a covenant exactly anyway? Richard asked, what is a covenant? Anyway, a covenant is like a contract. If we struck up a contract, me and Rodney, we're going to make a deal, right? We're going into business. We're going to write out this contract. We go to the lawyer. It says, me and Rodney's partners, we're going to uphold this details. Here's the terms of the contract. We both sign, and this contract is good until such and such a date. Right? That date, the contract is null and void. When that date. Now, we could renew the contract or whatever else. A covenant is like a contract. It basically is a contract, except a covenant has no ending date. Right? So the only way out of a covenant is for one of the two parties to die. Jesus said, I didn't come to do away with it. I've come to fulfill it. Part of the reason that He died was to bring that covenant to full term. And then say, we are no longer under the old covenant system of law of being blessed according to what you do or don't do. Be blessed according to how good you're doing or your performance. We're now under a new covenant. That's why Jesus told Nicodemus, you must be born again. Right? You get born again, now you're under the old, now you're born into a new covenant. The old covenant was, well, let me read you this right here. This is Hebrews, let me see, Hebrews something. Let me find it. I got too much stuff here. Hebrews. Mm, 8:13, maybe. Let's see. I'll start in 7. Hebrews 8:7. All right. It says this. I'll let you find it. Hebrews 8:7. You ready? For if the first covenant had been faultless, there would have been no occasion sought for a second. I'm reading the Bible. It said the first covenant. I'm talking about the law. The Big Ten. Alright? For if the first covenant had been faultless, that's in the Bible. The Bible's saying that there's fault in the first covenant. You know why there's fault in the first covenant? Because it's based on me and you. Based on me and you. That's why it wouldn't work. New covenant's not based on me and you. It's based on Him. That's why it does work. For finding fault with them, He said, behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when I will effect a new covenant. A new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Not like, you reading this? Verse 9. The new covenant is not like. Does it say that in your Bible? Not like the covenant which I made with their fathers. The new covenant is not like the old covenant. And here, in especially in America, the church world today, we've made it just like the old covenant. Oh, come get saved. Now thou shalt not. And that's what we've made it. But you can go read Romans 7. Paul's teaching about covenants, and he uses the example of talking about marriage, because when you get married, that's a covenant, right? You know, this preacher says, till death do you part. It's a covenant. It's a covenant. And so Paul writes in Romans 7 about, look, if a woman's still alive and all this, yeah, he's not really talking about divorce. She goes and divorce and marries another, she's committing adultery, right, like that. Well, we've really used that to beat up people that's had a divorce. He's not even really talking about divorce. He's talking about the consequences of being in two covenants at once. He's saying if you're entered into two covenants at one time, you're considered an adulterer. He's not really referring to being married, and he's not teaching on marriage. He's saying, look, because he goes right into Romans 8 and talking about the covenant of the Spirit and all this. And so he's saying you can't be in two covenants at once, or mixing two. If you're trying to live in two covenants at once, you're adulterous. You're an adulterer, right? He's saying if you try to be born again into the new covenant, but also living up under the old covenant, you've nullified both. I believe it's what Jesus meant when He said in Revelations. We've heard all kinds of stuff on that. And He said, I would, right? He's writing the letters to the church, right? He's writing letters to churches. Believers, not lost folks. He's writing letters to churches. And He says, I wish that you were either hot or cold. But this lukewarm business makes me want to... Spew. Yeah, what she said. So I'm like, what now? Okay, my old religious thinking and the way I grew up in church, and I hear a mean preacher trying to shame me into acting better. He said, you ought to be red hot for Jesus, right? You ought to be red hot for Jesus. You lukewarm Christians make God want to puke, right? And that's what we always heard and thought. We was thinking that way and all that. But I think, now wait a minute, let's just calm down and use our brains just a little bit and think about what we're saying. Jesus said, I wish that you would either be hot or cold. That's what he said. I wish that you would either be hot or cold. But you're lukewarm, and that makes me sick. Now I think, now how do you get lukewarm water? You mix hot with cold. He's saying, I would rather you still be all the way cold. Now I'm thinking, if it means you've got to be red hot for Jesus, and you get born again here and you start out cold, and it's His idea that you want to get to hot, right? Now if you started out cold, or started out lost, or whatever, and you're going to eventually end up hot, wouldn't you have to pass through lukewarm to get there? Doesn't make a lick of sense, does it? Jesus said, I'd rather you be cold than mixing the two. Because even if you are still cold, and even if you are still living under the old covenant and trying by your own muster and your own effort and your own grit and grit your teeth and try to do better and try to be a Christian, and I'm going to work harder and I'm going to beat this and I'm going to quit there. He said, even if you're still there, you'll finally come to the end of yourself and give up on it and realize your need for me. He said, I'd rather you be in that spot than for you to be religious and be part 1 foot in the new covenant, born by the blood, part in the old covenant, because then you're just religious and you're of no effect. Paul even said it in Galatians 5. You that are been born again and set free by the blood of Christ, you that go back and try to live up under the law, you have been severed from Christ. You have been fallen from grace, and Christ avails you nothing. Whoa! Now I know you guys have heard me preach grace, and I preach it to the level that, I put it out there. I do. In fact, I've said if you don't put it out there to the level that religious folks accuse you of saying that you went light on sin, if you're not being accused of preaching the gospel and not being accused of going light on sin, then you're probably not preaching the gospel. The gospel's not light on sin. The gospel's the power that transforms you from darkness to light. Duh! Living in light doesn't produce more sin.
That's right.
Hello? Right? Fooey with that nonsense. So here, Paul's saying, look, if you've been born again and you go back and live up under the law, you've fallen from grace. Look it up, Galatians 5. It says you've been severed from Christ. So I get all these religious folks accusing me all the time saying, well, you preaching that grace, you went light on sin and all that. There's not a verse in this Bible that says that you can fall from grace by sinning.
That's true.
There ain't one. You can either take my word for it or go wear yourself out for several months and scan the thing and read it. You even got Bible search now. You can just look it up. You won't find one. Everybody says, well, you preach that once saved, always saved, greasy grace and all this stuff. First of all, I've never said once saved, always saved. Those of you who've been here can vouch for that. I've never said that. I don't even know about that. I don't even care about that argument or that discussion. All I know is Jason's saved, and Jason will always be saved. You can decide for yourself. And there's not a verse in this Bible that says if Jason falls off the wagon and sins enough, then finally God will snuff him out and say, you blew it, buddy. There ain't a single verse in there that says that. And almost a huge majority, if not everybody in here, has believed with that kind of mindset.
That's right.
And put that on other people. Fact is, and you can look in the life of Jesus. Remember last week I said we got to base everything we believe about God through the life of Jesus. That Jesus is exact representation. It did not seem to me that Jesus had near as much problem with sinners as He did with religious folk.
That's right.
Ouch! Gosh, I'm not meaning to be this mean tonight, but Dan Muller said if the shoe fits, wear it, but then kick it off. I'm saying, don't be mixing the covenants. Don't be mixing the covenants. There's a new covenant. The old covenant was based on us and what we do and don't do. The new covenant's based on Jesus, what He did. So now you're qualified. You're in a new covenant with God, and your performance is not where your blessing lies. His performance is where your blessing lies. You've been... Well, let me read this. I like the NLT in this, and so I'll look it up here. You guys know this. This is my favorite right here, so I might as well read it. I don't get tired of it. Surely you don't either. Listen to this. This is Romans 3. Romans 3. NLT I got here. I like it. I like them all. I study them all, but I use different ones. But listen to this. I'll start in verse 19. Romans 3. Are you ready? Now I'm reading out of the Bible. Is that the Bible? I want a witness. Yeah, that's the Bible. That's the Bible. By 2 or 3 witnesses, the thing shall be established. All right, it's the Bible. Right, good? Listen to this, verse 19. Obviously, the law applies to those to whom it was given. Here's another. I don't know why I'm... Richard's fault, yeah. So it says the law, obviously the law applies to whom it was given. Do you know that the law was given to the Jewish people?
Yes.
And do you know that if you were not a Jew, it's actually breaking the law for you to even read the law?
That's right.
Now I know this is not popular because we still have the 10 Commandments in our yard and we fight for it to be put on the courthouse wall, and some of you probably got it in your house right now and you're about to throw rocks at me or something. But for that law that we religiously think we stand for, do you know that we're actually cursed by that law? Unless you're Jewish, then there's possibility. People around are Jewish. They may be Jewish. You may be here tonight and you're Jewish, but most of us are Pulley's Mill mix crossbreeds of something. So, you know. What I'm saying is, if you do not uphold the whole law, you're cursed. If you're going to live under the law and don't uphold not just one, it says you got to take the whole law. If you're guilty of one, you're guilty of all. So if one of the laws is that if you wear more than one kind of fabric in the same shirt. So check your tag. You got 50% polyester, 50% cotton. Sorry to be the bad news, but you're out. Also says if you got more than one kind of seed in the same field. Who's got a garden? Sorry, you're out. So if you don't uphold them all, you're cursed. You're cursed. So we're going to say that's the covenant we want to fight for, and that's what we want to hang on our wall, and that's what we need in the courthouse. You know? But I'm telling you this, it's breaking the law for Gentiles to even read the law.
Right.
It's breaking the law for Gentiles to even be in the presence of someone reading the law. Oh, I know it's not popular. We ain't heard that. How about putting John 3:16 on the courthouse wall? How about putting Romans 3 on the courthouse wall? But, okay, let me read it on. It'll make you shout. You shout and you don't even know why yet. It says this, obviously the law applies to those to whom it was given, for its purpose is to keep people from having excuses and to show that the entire world is guilty before God. For no one can ever be made right with God by doing what the law commands. The law simply shows us how sinful we are. The purpose of the law is to show us how sinful we are. And we stand up week after week after week behind thousands of pulpits across the world and preach the law and reveal how sinful people are and wonder why the world looks like it looks. The old covenant is about do. The new covenant is about what you believe. So it's now, you've been born again, now the whole power of the thing is found in what you believe. So if me, being the preacher, stand up and preach law to you and reveal how sinful you are and basically tell you week after week, you no good sinners, you better start trying harder, shame on you, you better start acting right, you better quit this, I'll pick out your sin this week, I'll get somebody else's next week, and week after week after week, I'm just revealing to you that you're a sinner. And then we live in a new covenant where everything is based on what we believe. We still got a foot in the old. We've got a foot in the new. There's power in what we believe. And what we believe is, and now because of this, mixing the two, what we believe is now we're sinners. Do you know you're a product of what you believe? You may not realize it. You may not have ever been told. I guarantee you right now, you are a product of whatever it is that you believe. And the preachers have stood for years now, Sunday after Sunday. Oh, we got Facebook now, TV. You no good sinners. Oh, some of them are nice about it, and they'll put it like this. You need to be doing this better. Right? They're motivational about it or something. You need to be doing this better. But they're still putting it on you and your performance. It's the law. And so if you believe you're not cutting it, if you believe you're a sinner that needs to try harder, if you believe that that's what you're going to be. If you believe you're a sinner, rocket science, ain't it? What if somebody had gall enough to start standing up every week and telling you that because of God and what Jesus has done, you've been made righteous? It's not based on you and what you do. It's based on Him and what He's done. Because of Him and His life, you've been qualified. Oh, let me read it. You guys are getting me off the book here. Listen to this. The law simply shows us how sinful we are. But now, everybody say, but now. God has shown us a way to be made right with Him without keeping the requirements of the law as was promised by the writings of Moses. Reading the Bible. Let me read that again. But now God has shown us a way to be made right with Him without keeping the requirements of the law. Let me put it in modern day cowboy terms. God has made a way, shown us and made a way for us to be made right without living up to a certain standard, without behaving a certain way, without performing a certain way, without living up to a certain standard. He has made a way for us to be made right without it being on us. Man, I'm telling you, that's good news. It is for me. I tried the other way. Verse 22. We are made right with God by placing our faith in Jesus Christ. And this is true for everyone who believes, no matter who we are. Everyone who believes, no matter who we are. Everyone who believes, no matter who we are. Am I breaking through? Yes. We are made right, not performed right, not achieved right, not grew into right. We are made. You were made that way. That's why Jesus said you must be born again. The first time you were born wrong. The second time you were born right. We are made right with God by placing our faith